Hi, everyone. I'm Sunny.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Rox. And this is
Literature on the Rocks.
Book club.
Hey.
So we are here to talk about your guys' responses to our prompts and our own responses to the prompts.
Yes, we're about to talk all about our opinions on The Housemaid.
Yeah, so we did the book summary. One of the people who have commented and put in their responses to the prompts, they have only heard our book summary. They haven't actually read it. So it was kind of cool to see their perspective based on what we told them.
On our narration of the book, which I thought is kind of cool.
So if you haven't read the book and you're not sure you want to, you don't have to. Just listen to the summary and you can still join the prompts.
Love it.
Yeah.
Anyways, what's new with you guys?
So for me, I just listened to my first audiobook for our pod. I know. And I have some thoughts on that whole experience.
Yeah, how'd you like it?
I think that, one, I enjoyed that I didn't have to work so hard to picture the world because I did a fantasy one.
Okay.
And so that was helpful. I think I enjoyed the book more than I would have had I read it.
Because this might be polarizing if you haven't been following us on social media, anyone listening. Rox does not like the Fourth Wing series. I was gonna not the
She
doesn't
doesn't
called the Fourth Wing, but
She doesn't even know if she
All of a
doesn't
sudden.
like the series. She stopped at Fourth Wing.
Yes, she
and
read
has
Fourth
not
Wing and did not
ventured
like it.
into the other two.
Just the fourth wing. The fourth wing. Left a lot to be desired. It was just a
Yeah, it
little
did.
lackluster.
In the form
Yeah.
of
No,
I desired
lackluster.
so much more that I read all the other books afterwards.
I did not desire the rest of the books.
But I
Anyways,
think that you don't like the world building that is fantasy.
yeah, it's a lot
Right?
of work. I'm just trying to relax here. I'm not trying to work. I just got off of work. Now I have to go home and do more work. I don't want to do that.
Oh man, I know using your imagination is hard.
It is hard, okay? And it really makes me sleepy.
Oh yeah, that you did tell me a lot. Like I fell asleep reading Fourth Wing again.
That's why it took you a year to read
did.
it.
It took
I
so
mean, not a
long.
year, but at least like 6 months
It
probably.
was
A long time. It was a good amount of time.
Hence why I did not want the rest of the stories.
Okay,
Okay,
but now you've listened to a fantasy.
yes, much better
Okay.
because they set the tone for you. The voices.
I think
and
you
the
need to
things.
listen to Iron Flame because
Right.
if you didn't like Fourth Wing, I don't think you would like Iron Flame. But if you listen to it and like it, you need to revisit Fourth Wing.
In this experience, my biggest complaint, I would say, is the females doing male voices because they are struggling.
I think it goes both ways.
There are some men in audiobooks that can't do a woman's voice either. That's really funny.
They were both having to do it when it's in the perspective of the male or the perspective of the female, right? They have to do the opposite sex. And it's really funny. I wish they would have just used the female to do it because they're already there.
That's what's it called? The books that are dramatized voice readings. They do have the different characters reading their lines and the sounds in the background. I haven't listened to one of those before.
Lights Out.
Oh, I want to read that.
Oh, I listened to it. And they do, like, when it's Josh is thinking and it's, I forget her name, but the girl, it'll be the voice, the female actor's voice doing her.
That's how I feel like it should be in all the
the
books.
time?
I don't know why they're doing it the way they are. However, I was thinking about it. And if I was an audiobook reader,
Yeah, can you do
Yes,
better?
please.
this would be my male voice.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. I got to get into character.
Should we find a line?
Yeah,
in
I
here
need a
from The
line.
House?
Give me a line.
Of Andrew. Line.
I feel
Oh,
like
here you
such
go.
a celebrity. What's my line? Which one?
Right here.
Better
What are you
one.
looking at? Say it in a low.
Oh.
He says in a low voice.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
Do you want to read it?
No. He says it in a low voice. What are you looking at?
That was good.
Right?
Yeah. No, I would date that man. I would date the heck out of that man.
All right, Rachel, you're up.
Fuck.
Oh.
Okay.
What are you looking at? You had to read the whole. Like,
It made me feel comfortable holding the book. Okay, leave me alone.
I'm gonna hold the book too.
I'm
I just have to say,
crying.
what are you looking at? You would lose your voice if you were doing your man voice like that.
I guess if I was just talking like this.
would have ended with that one. That's a hard one to beat. Okay. What are you looking at?
You sound like you're ready to fight, and that's not. They're in a cab, ready to like make out.
Oh, it's a sexy scene. Okay.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
I think.
This dick. That was good.
God, this was the best.
Oh. Well, this was fun.
Yeah, I
That was a
mean,
fun exercise.
Do we even need to read the prompts?
no, I think we're good. Thank you,
fun
thank you, listeners.
Yeah. And please post your best man voice
Oh my god!
or your
please.
best female voice.
Yes.
Tag us in it. We want to hear them.
Start this trend. Audiobook auditions. Anyways, we did not do an author bio on
Oh, right.
The
Yes.
Housemaid. So,
And it's something we want to start doing for our summaries.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I put something together and I think I'll read it to you guys and then Sunny, you might have some additional things to add.
Yeah.
Okay, so Freida McFadden is a #1 best-selling author known for her mind-bending psychological thrillers that keep readers on the edge of their seats. She is a practicing physician specializing in brain injury.
Shut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
The
crazy. That's
front
what
door.
that was one of the things I saw. I was like, dang.
Wild, right? She masterfully weaves medical knowledge into her novels, crafting suspenseful stories filled with shocking twists, unreliable narrators, and endings you never see coming. So her breakout hit, The Housemaid, took the thriller world by storm, earning critical acclaim and a massive fan following. But that's just one of many. Her extensive catalog includes The Locked Door, Never Lie, and The Coworker. I haven't read any of those, have you?
No.
I
Maybe
want to
we should
read.
add 'em.
She has one. I think it's called The Inmate. But the book cover looked creepy, and I was gonna listen to it, and it was late at night, and I thought, better not.
Well, maybe we can add it to our TBR.
Yeah.
Each proving that no one does a jaw-dropping twist like McFadden does. Despite her success, McFadden remains an enigma. She keeps most of her personal life pretty private, although I think Sunny found some things, so we'll ask you about those. But what I could find is she balances her writing career with her work in medicine. It's a rare combination that makes her all the more fascinating, I think. Readers love her for her dark, twisty plots, but also for her sharp sense of humor, which is something that she does a lot on her social media.
Well, Literature on the Rocks follows her, so
We do.
yes.
I think on her socials, she's like pretty witty and funny. It's kind of good to see. When she's not penning psychological thrillers, she enjoys reading, spending time with her family, and obviously, just like the rest of us here listening, she likes to get lost in a good book. But a good warning is once you start Freida McFadden's, you're not going to want to put it down and you won't get much sleep because I didn't. So get ready to uncover the secrets, unravel the mysteries, and maybe even second guess reality because today we're stepping into the mind of Freida McFadden.
Bum, bum, bum. That was a good way
That
to
was
end
good.
it. Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, I got chills.
Dang,
Ooh.
look at that.
Suspense me.
I like it. What did you find?
Well, we talk about in the summary, we thought, because, right, there's a part where it's talking a little bit about
Motherhood.
We had a conversation about motherhood and postpartum depression and how Rox got kind of both sides from being pregnant to then afterwards having a baby. We asked Freida McFadden, a mom, and she does. She has 2 children with her husband. That's all I found. The only other parts were that she's a freaking doctor who
Yeah.
specializes in brain disorders.
And she still is like practicing medicine while she's reading.
And
Okay,
writing,
I
yeah.
wasn't 100% sure, so I didn't say it, but I thought I read somewhere that that's actually not her name. That's her
Her pen name.
pen name.
pseudonym.
That it's like her.
It's a good name.
Whatever name she uses for her authoring.
Authoring.
I thought that was interesting because I would have never really known, but I could be wrong. I just thought I read that somewhere, and it like blew
It
my
might
mind.
be if her personal life is held private and she is a practicing physician.
Oh, yeah.
It makes sense that she would pen under a different name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dang.
So let's,
Freida McFadden could be my doctor someday.
and you would never know.
I hope not.
Just
'cause
kidding.
She
You
does
would know
brain
because
injuries. I hope she's not your doctor one day.
I mean,
that's a good point.
brain disorders. Let me tell you, there's lots of disorderly
well.
stuff happening up there.
Oh my god, I'm already worried about you.
I know. Me too, actually.
Okay, well, let's talk about our cocktail for the book.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, so we have it posted. So if you want to see how to make it, it's live on our socials. Lit on the Rocks Pod is our handle. But our ingredients, just as a refresher, is 2 ounces of gin, 1 ounce of blue curacao, 1 ounce fresh lemon juice, a half an ounce elderflower liqueur, which is one of our favorite liqueurs.
It is.
A fourth of an ounce, which I think I put a little bit more than that, of absinthe, and then a splash of soda water, and then a lemon peel twist.
It's delicious.
It was
pretty good.
really good.
You can pause us now. Go make yourself a cup.
Yeah, and then snuggle up and let's talk about this book.
Heck yeah.
Yay.
I really liked that it was the same color as the cover of the book.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that really fascinated me.
For our first cocktail, we were like, we want to match the cover. Okay, well, now that you have your drinks, let's dive into some book prompts.
Yay.
We had, I think, was there 8?
Yes, there's 8 different prompts.
Every time we do these book clubs, the first 4 will always be the same. We really liked the first impressions, unresolved questions, alternate endings, and adaptation dreams. Who would you hire?
Cast.
Thank you. Who would you cast for the movie or
And
TV
this
series?
one's going to be fun because they
It
just
is.
casted
Yes.
Yeah.
this week.
Yes. I think it's been a couple weeks, but yes.
Oh, okay.
I think
Yes.
they're already filming.
I read an article this week about the cast. So after I answered my prompts, and it was very
Okay.
Yeah, none of who I
We
selected
that'll have
is
to be part of the
actually who
comment.
were
No.
cast.
No,
Same.
we'll talk about it
Yeah, we will.
because I have opinions.
Yeah, samesies.
Okay, let's go.
Let's start with first impressions. So the question is, what were your initial thoughts when you started reading The Housemaid? Did the book meet your expectations or surprise you? I was pretty harsh at the beginning, and I was judging everyone except for the person I should have been judging. I made some notes at the beginning of the book that I started cringing about once I started part 2 of the book. It's just a reminder that every side has a story, and stop being a judgy bitch, Sonny. Because I, for sure, when I started reading it, it was just her showing the room. I was like, damn, Nina's, you're okay with putting this woman in this tiny little attic, and Millie, you're okay with how she's treating you and how she's acting, and we talk about it in the summary. I was sympathetic to Nina to a point, but I was also screw Nina. Right?
Yeah.
You're kind of a bit, and then the second part of the book came, and I was like, wow, okay, okay, sorry.
My bad.
Yeah, exactly. But it was for sure, I think it was eye-opening a little bit. There is a side to every story, and don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah. I think this was a really good example of that. Don't
Yeah.
judge a book by its cover, and don't believe everything that you hear
Yeah.
right out the gate, right? I had a similar experience. I think that the premise to me felt pretty familiar. Like, young woman takes a live-in job with a wealthy family, only find out that there's some secrets. But then the setting just was so eerie, so I was hooked. Even though I knew this storyline felt familiar, I was hooked just based on the way she was setting the tone for the story. So that was my first impression was, okay, yeah, I can see this storyline. It took a total turn than I didn't expect, but
Yeah.
I could, yeah, it sounds familiar and it's cool. So I'm in. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, I started with the prologue, and that's where it started for me because I was like, okay, we know someone's dead, we know a woman's being interrogated, and the whole time the book, like I had that in the back of my head, and I'm waiting for it to circle
Yeah.
back around to make it make sense, and it did.
I also
it
did not
do
think-
some loopy loops in between there
Yeah.
to get to circle it back around.
Yeah, it did.
I think even the whole time I was reading, I didn't think it was Nina at the beginning.
No, I
No.
thought it was
Interviewed by
Millie.
the
As
police.
soon as
Yeah.
we learned that she was an ex-con,
Yes.
done. She's the
Yeah.
one sitting there. She
Yeah.
did it.
Which was that Freida McFadden's point, was to insert this history of Millie's to get you to think this is
Yeah.
the villain. It took all of the focus off of who the villain actually was.
Yes.
And I don't know if that was her intent, but it did it for me.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I think it might have been. That's the magic of her weaving.
The magic of her weavings.
I just pictured a basket.
We have,
Yeah, we have a response from
Oh, yeah.
someone who said their first impressions, right?
yes.
We have a comment from April. She wrote in about her first impression, and I think we got a really cool perspective from her because she didn't read the book. She just listened to our book summary episode.
Yes.
So her impression came off of our narration of the book. So what she said was, right away, I did not like the Winchester family. I did not like the way they treated Millie. I felt like there were red flags left and right. Millie's situation and the gaslighting was all just bad. I felt there had to be some secrets to be uncovered soon.
She was right.
Pretty accurate.
Not wrong.
Yeah, not wrong at all.
Yeah.
Thank you, April, for writing
Yeah.
in and telling us about your impressions. I think that you really hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah, and I think for sure there were a lot of red flags, but it was red flags against Nina again. Like,
Yeah, we
But
didn't know
there
who
was a
running with
red
the
flag
flags.
against Millie.
oh, true, but nothing against Andrew. Andrew was perfect.
He was an angel.
He was a perfect
Sweet
husband,
baby
taking
angel
care of
Andrew.
his wife who was overweight.
You know
Yeah,
what's
we'll get
right?
into
Her
that.
child.
Even Enzo had red flags.
Yes.
Everybody in the story except for
Yeah.
Andrew.
Oh,
Hiding
all
in
right,
plain sight.
Frida, fool me once.
Our second question is unresolved questions. Were there any plot points or character arcs that you felt were left unresolved or could have been explored further? And me personally, I would have liked more about Enzo. I feel he was a huge part in Nina's story and in her survival through all of this. Obviously, it gives that away, but when it's in part 3, when Nina's or part 2, when it's going more into her story, they do talk a little bit about him, but I would have liked to see his role and how he helped her develop more and a little more character development on him.
Well, he clearly had a lot more to the story too, because he had something that happened to his
Sister.
something
Yeah.
that happened to his sister.
But it's all very vague.
Yeah.
So, but I would have liked more on him.
I do like that because I felt that they did tell us enough about him to give us his reasonings behind why he's involved, but they didn't tell us how much he knew. How long had he been a part of the Winchester family background? I don't think they talk about it. He's
He's
the
just-
gardener.
Yeah.
But he obviously knows
I
because
think
he
they
knows
do
about
talk
this.
about how Nina started talking to him more, but I don't
Yeah.
remember. I think he just notices it, and then he starts doing more yard work and spending more time at the house. And
Okay,
yeah,
that's
I
a little
don't-
creepy. Hey, I noticed you guys have some skeletons in your closet. I'm
Well, I
just
think-
going to hang out here.
I think it was after talking to Nina, he was like, "I'm hanging out here. I'm not gonna just."
Leave you?
Yeah, yeah, but also that could be a little creepy. I'd be like, "Why are you watching me?
Why is this
Why are you
buff
watching me
Italian
struggle in
man
this-"
who's shirtless in my yard right now? Why are you helping him?
You're like, "Okay, you can stay."
Okay.
Watch as my husband
Locks
tortures
me.
me.
Yeah.
We have a comment from one of our listeners, Megan. I would have liked more from the daughter's perspective. I don't feel like her point of view was really shown enough. And on the flip side, it likely would have given the ending away if you did have that. Yeah, that's true. But maybe more when it turned into Nina's
Nina?
chapters, it wouldn't have given as much away because it's already
Yeah.
going into that part of the story. Because she was traumatized. I thought she was a little jerk in the beginning,
Yeah.
but maybe it was warranted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that she had to have known, like, when my mom does this happens, or she disappears, or
Or if she
Yeah.
doesn't like dress like a doll, then my mommy disappears.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I think they say something in there that she knows that
She-
when things weren't right, her mom disappeared for a while.
yeah.
And that's really sad if you think about
It
that
is
from
really
a child's perspective.
Yeah.
It is really sad. Too sad, Megan. We don't want to know that
Now you're
perspective.
making me cry for a different reason.
My unresolved questions is real short to the sweet to the point. I felt like, no. I felt good closure at the end of the book, so I don't know why there are 3 books in this series. I ordered the second book still, though.
Did you?
Yes. I just haven't read it.
So
what about you,
mysterious.
Rox? Did you have any unresolved questions?
I guess my only thing was that they did touch a little bit on Andrew's background, but not so much into it that they gave us any real indication about why he is the way that he is, right? Where did this abuse come from? Why is he so
His mom.
torturous?
mom.
No, I know, but she give us little things, but like I think I would want to know more about it.
But no, I get it. Yeah, wanting to know. Maybe
Just dive into it just a little bit more. Maybe they give us some flashbacks or, some experiences that he had. I know they talked a little bit about the teeth or whatever
Yeah.
that the mom had to do to him, but that's only really what we touched on. So I think I would have wanted a little more of his backstory.
Yeah.
okay.
Alternate ending. Okay, so the alternate ending prompt was if you could change one thing about the ending of The Housemaid, what would it be and why? All right, so we had another response from another one of our listeners, Christina, and she wrote, another alternate ending is that all the gaslighting and the mistreating causes Millie to become cold and she becomes the next Nina. She finds her own person to torment and the cycle continues under a new identity. That would be an interesting ending, I think. Another,
Like it just keeps cycling through. Like I'm just going to find someone else
yeah.
Like
to
now
take
I'm
my
trapped
place
here.
now since Nina did it to me.
Yes.
It's only fair I do it to the next person.
Or
That's
it's the only
crazy.
way to keep me from being locked in that room.
Like,
so
I
we'll
know how
just,
to solve this problem because it's already been solved for the woman before me.
Yeah, so I'll just do it again, and hopefully it saves me.
That I could see a second book coming out.
Yeah.
Now the series
Exactly.
makes sense.
We found a better ending. She said, or Millie never escapes and Nina comes back to Millie locked in the attic.
Oh.
Oh, and now what does Nina do
Right.
to try and right the wrongs that she started?
Or maybe she can't.
Maybe she gets locked in the attic.
Maybe they get locked in
Both
together.
In the attic.
And now he just pulls one out whenever he wants a woman on
Oh,
his arm.
now this is a whole different type of story. If
I don't know that it
alternates
would be, though,
through
because
them.
I don't think he was like a man who was a cheater or just.
I mean, he
wanted-
was
he
a
did.
cheater. He
Yeah,
cheated.
That's true. Yeah, and then
Plaza
he was, like,
Hotel would
left
say
his
differently.
wife. Yeah, that
Exactly.
queen bed.
So I guess I could see him leaving them both locked in there and
Both
pulling
gonna
them
be
out pending the situation that he wants them to be a part of.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go to a
I like him
Broadway
even
show.
less now.
You know
If
what?
it was possible.
Yeah, right.
None of these endings are doing any justice for Andrew.
No, there's no justice.
If there
for
are any
Andrew.
justice for Andrew people
Actually,
out
there
there.
was justice.
Well, there
for
was
Andrew
justice. Yeah, I was
at the end of the book when he was killed.
Yeah, but does anybody think he should have stayed alive and just gone to jail?
This is a deeper question now, but I think that it is more suffering if you stay alive and are in jail. I mean, I don't know. That's a question that I feel like you're asking. Am I okay with corporal
No,
punishment?
no.
Right? Like,
Well, not in your own personal life or any other views.
it does feel like this is a corporal punishment
Yeah,
kind of
I'm
conversation.
not trying to trap you.
Which yeah, I do. I feel trapped. No, and I don't mind. I don't know where I stand on it. I don't have a firm stance on it because people
Depends
who
on
are
the situation.
serial
Yeah,
killers,
situations are-
like, do I feel like they should be put to death? I mean, maybe, but also, would they be worse off in
prison?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in prison
Yeah, I don't know.
forever for their life?
Will they be worse off? No.
Why? If you are killed by whatever lethal injection or whatever it is, your life just ends and now it's done. But I don't have to live with the punishment. I'm just done. So this is my dilemma with corporal punishment.
I agree.
I don't know where I stand on it. I feel like I'm not going to be standing in the... I'm not going to watch anyone die. But also if that's what the world decides is okay, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you're right. It was a bigger question, but I was just trying to decide, was I happy with him dying at the end, or would I have preferred he just go to jail and then we have a little bit more that we can
But-
go off of?
I get. Well, this kind of bleeds into some of the things I have to say for the last prompt. But would he have gone to jail? Like we
Yeah,
see
no.
Good question.
it
I don't think he
all
would've.
the time with. Look who our president is. He's fucking grabbing people by the pussy, and he's our president for a second fucking time. Like he's sexually assaulted women and has gone to court for it. Like, no, I don't think Andrew would have ended up in prison.
I agree. You're right. That is a good point. Is if he survived, would he have gotten any sort of repercussions for his... No, I don't think he would have.
Millie did it. She did it for all of us.
Thank you, Millie.
Thanks. I put that I wouldn't change the ending at all. I think that there was a lot of questions that we had going into the ending, and they kind of wrapped everything up nicely with a bow on it. Andrew's mom at the funeral, we know that she was his abuser, and that's where his need for control and abuse came from.
Yeah.
And then we also got closure on who this mysterious first fiance was. We don't know what happened to her. Probably gone. She's probably dead. But we do get some kind of closure with her dad being the detective and where she, like, what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That he's curious to know too. Yeah.
I agree.
I pretty much wrote the same thing. I wrote there wouldn't be additional books.
Yeah.
I haven't read the books, so I guess I
know.
can't
We
truly.
talked a lot of shit for
You
not
know
reading
what,
them.
though?
Yeah, so I can't say that I know what the next two books are.
Knowing how Freida McFadden's mind works now, maybe the next book isn't anything of what we think it
Yeah.
would be at all.
I don't know. At the end, Millie's like a hired assassin.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's
she's
what
Liam
that-
Neeson.
Okay,
We
so
think
this
that's
is-
the direction it's going to take, but what if it's not?
So she does take a job with, at the very end, she does take a job with another woman that Nina suggested she was a reference for.
And that woman was being abused. So she
And
was
so
hired
Millie
on
was
to
like,
take
all
care
right, here I go. And my issue with that, Yeah. My issue with that is Millie didn't get away cleanly. She got away by pure luck. Like Nina came back to save her and then sent her away. So Millie was out. Now she's good. But even Nina was prepared. Like, I'm going to go to jail for this woman.
Because she put her in that situation. She felt guilty.
Right.
Right,
And
but what's going
then
to keep Millie from not getting arrested the second time?
Maybe
Yeah.
she does.
How is she?
Apparently,
she's
you
like,
guys
"All
do
right,
have questions, and we do need to read the second book.
I guess we have questions about how the plot would work for the second book.
Yeah.
The only way to
that's
know is to read
It's
it,
not
I
like,
guess.
Like, I read it like she's a vigilante. I mean, she kind of, but
Kind of.
she's good at this. This is something she should do for all.
And
it was like she
torture
sucks
that
at this
man.
and she got lucky.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think she was very good at
No.
it. I think it was all by happenstance that it worked out the way that
Yeah.
it did.
Yes, I agree.
So maybe we do need to
So-
investigate the second book.
Well, I have it. I guess I'll read it then.
You'll let us know.
You can read it and then, tell us
But
how
I
you
did
think.
write, quit while you're ahead, Millie, and let's close this chapter of your life.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if there wasn't a second book to maybe go into what would her life had become.
Right.
Get some closure on, okay, that was a shitty part, 2 shitty parts of my past. And now I'm moving on. And what would happen next for her?
There are two books after this one.
I can't believe there's 2. 1, I can understand.
See?
But 2, I don't know about 2.
Well,
I'm just thinking if there were
they
no
happen.
more
They're
books.
here.
If there were no more.
Obviously, we need to read them before we could pass too much judgment on them. But
See, again, Freida McFadden, you did it again. Dang it.
fine, Frida, we'll read your books.
We thought there
Jeez.
was no need, and now we're questioning everything.
Now we're going into adaptation dreams, which I'm excited about because, like you said, we do know who they have cast in these roles. I will say I'm not in love with their Nina casting, but let's go into it.
Yeah, tell me what you wanted.
Yeah, let's do ours first, and then we'll do who got casted.
Yes. Okay. So I only casted for Andrew, Millie, and Nina. And Andrew, listen, I'm not excited about who I'm basically just did.
Am I
what-
judging? Am I going to judge?
I don't know. If you were on Book Talk, yes. I don't know if you are, though. But I think Andrew would be played by Henry Cavill.
Superman?
Yeah, I'm going to pull
Right?
up his
Superman?
picture. I feel like he has the kind of a butt chin,
Yeah.
which is what Andrew had, right?
Oh, I don't remember that detail.
yeah.
I don't remember his butt chin in the book.
He does. He has like a little. So I feel like he gives the vibes, but the reason why I feel some type of way about it is so many people, for any book boyfriends,
It's
a
him.
lot of people cast.
Really?
Yes.
Like
Henry
there was
Cavill.
one where
He's like
there's
stereotyped.
several videos where he plays, oh, I found my perfect casting for Iron Flame, and it's just him in wigs.
Yeah.
For every single person.
So it is a kind of a joke on Instagram.
Maybe
and
it's
Book
because of the
Talk and-
strong jawline.
He
He's
has
very
a
like
lot-
masculine. You know, he's got that
Yes.
strong masculine vibe.
I feel like, and he's the right age for this. Like I wouldn't for Iron Flame or like as Zayden.
Oh, yeah, who's in
he's
his 20s?
not a
No.
Zayden. So I understand that, but I did kind of go.
And I can
feel
only
like he's
picture
good
him
for
as the
this.
Witcher now.
His normal look is not. That
He's
at
a
all.
good-looking Witcher, though. I'll give him
No,
that.
I'm not mad at him as a Witcher, but like he's usually like that. That's Andrew.
It's a strong face. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
I
anyways.
also had Henry Cavill as an option, but he wasn't my first option. So I'll tell you guys after. Go
No,
ahead.
tell me now. Go.
My
Give me-
first option was John Hamm.
This is where I'm gonna struggle. Every time we do these, I'm gonna have to look up because
I
Loud
kind
notes.
of, I see where you're going because John Hamm was on my list.
Okay, yeah.
You want to know? Okay, so when I first thought of Andrew, I pictured when I was reading, do you remember Dermot
Same with
Mulroney? He's from The Wedding Date.
Oh,
It's an-
that's my sister-in-law's favorite movie.
I thought
Oh.
like him in his prime, but I mean he's like 61 now, so he doesn't fit the role.
play it today.
I need to see what he
Dermot
looks
Mulroney.
like.
But
Let's
Dermot-
see. Oh yeah.
Dermot would
You know
have
what?
been-
He was nice in his prime.
Yes, Dermot
Mulroney.
Dermot in his prime. What? I'm not saying he's not in his prime now, but Dermot when he made The Wedding Date, that's who I pictured as Andrew. But since I can't have Dermot, I would have picked Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, Dermot's also in the wedding The Wedding Stone. Have you seen that one?
Oh,
He's in that
yeah.
one. He's with Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yes, yes, he is.
Okay,
And Jake Gyllenhaal can do creepy.
That's what I thought
he
of.
can do creepy.
And he looks
but I
nice
don't
in
know.
a suit. He could be a businessman.
I picture my only qualm with Jake Gyllenhaal is that I feel like he's too petite. I picture a like bigger.
a more robust man.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like he's too
Look.
small. He's a good-looking man though. But I just picture a bigger man. Like John Hamm's like I feel like he's like a tall, bigger. I don't know. That's
How tall
what I
is John
think.
Hamm?
I don't know. He's probably like 5'2".
He's 6'2".
Okay,
Oh,
see,
so,
tall.
okay.
Yes.
All right, fine. How tall is Jake Gyllenhaal?
5'1".
How tall is Jake Gyllenhaal? Jacob Benjamin Gyllenhaal is 5'11".
Okay,
Oh,
I mean, he's not
that.
super short. He just.
How tall is Henry Cavill?
Oh, I think he's tall.
6'1".
Yeah. Jake
right,
Gyllenhaal
fine.
is the shortest of the three.
We'll put
But
lifts in his
Jakey or-
shoes, okay? Anyway.
We still love you, Jake.
Okay.
Okay.
Who else did you cast?
So I only did 3. Andrew, Millie,
Okay.
and Nina. I know you guys did more, but Millie, I'm going to mess up this name too. Kierna Shipka.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
Kien?
You do. Kierna? What did you say?
I said Kien? Who?
Oh.
Oh, Kierna. Okay, she's.
I thought you were
girl-
trying to
she's,
say Kierna.
She's Sabrina. Me too. She's Sabrina, the teenage witch, the new one. This girl.
And this
Millie.
is
She
for
kind of looks like
Millie?
Anna
Millie.
Dobrik.
Okay.
Because she's young. She does
I can
have.
see that.
She has like darker hair when she.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
She kind of
me
looks
see.
like Emma Watson to me.
A little bit, yeah.
She's younger.
Could be Hermione.
Or
She could be.
Millie Bobby Brown. Something like kind of reminds me of her too.
Okay. Who did you pick for Millie?
Which actually is funny because she is in Mad Men. That's his daughter.
Oh, that's why she looks familiar.
Yeah.
I love him in Mad. Okay, we were talking about Millie.
Yes.
So for Millie, I chose Anna Taylor-Joy because she's the one in Queen's Gambit.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
I feel like she plays a good, quiet, intense character, but has a good vulnerability to her. I thought she would be a good one.
I picked Sydney Sweeney
Oh,
for Millie.
yeah.
I thought she looks like she could get unhinged.
Yeah, and I think she has sort of that like sex appeal
Yeah.
that Millie would have.
Just naturally.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
That would make her a husband stealer.
Okay, and then I did Nina. I'm so nervous about saying these names wrong.
It's okay.
Nicola Coughlin.
Who is that?
You
Hold
know
on.
her.
Again?
Bridgerton.
Oh, yes. I know who you're talking about now.
Oh, okay. I like that one.
Right? I felt like she's gorgeous. She's got like the thicker curves that they talk about so frequently in the freaking book.
Yes.
That's a good point.
She rocks them though, but like this is the person I have the biggest issue with who they casted in
Same.
the movie.
The actual,
Yeah, because we'll talk to
She's yeah.
We'll do
She's a
the-
great actress, but
not-
it was so prominent in the book as to like she was letting herself go.
She was a curvaceous
Yeah.
middle-aged
Luscious
woman.
woman.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, so that is who
That's-
I was
that's a
casting
good- that's a
for
good pick.
Nina.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so
I was
I
excited about that one.
initially said Charlize Theron because I can't remember the name of the movie that she was in where she plays that like prostitute serial killer lady.
Monster.
It's a monster? Monster, I think. Monster. She will pack on the weight for her role and she will really lean into it. And I know that she can handle kind of like an unhinged, kind of crazy personality. So I thought she would be a good option. The other person I picked was, okay, now this one I might butcher, Rosamund Pike. She's the girl from Gone Girl. Here, I'll show you.
I recognize her as the actress from Gone Girl, but that's where my recognition. That's it.
Yes, I thought she would also be because she typically plays or can play sort of those crazy characters.
Okay.
So those are my two picks.
I picked Christina Hendricks. She's from Good Girls. She's the main mom in Good Girls who gets with.
Oh, yes.
She
Ooh,
was in
that's
Mad Men.
good.
Oh yeah.
She's
Wait.
naturally voluptuous.
Yes, that's a good one.
And
Did you tell me this already?
I
think
might have.
I
Because
looked her up.
I love her.
I love her.
Yeah, she is good.
That's a good one.
That would be a good one.
Right?
I
Better
would
than
have
Amanda Seyfried.
much rather they have casted her. Dang it. Can
Yeah.
they recast?
I hope so. We would like to make a ploy
Yes.
to bring Nina Hendricks in. As
Do we need
Nina.
to sign a petition? Because I'll start it.
We got 3.
How many do we need?
I want to look up the names of the Housemaid coming out this year.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon Sklenar
Oh, let me see his
Sklenar?
picture.
Sklenar?
is Andrew,
Can I see his picture?
and then Sydney Sweeney is Millie,
Oh, nail on the head.
Yeah, that's a good one.
and Amanda Seyfried
Seyfried?
is Nina.
I don't like that at all.
That's
don't
the
like
only
that
one that
either.
I'm not crazy about. Brandon as Andrew, I'm not mad at.
No, he looks a little bit more
Greaser?
unkempt than I would have pictured for Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe he'll
Clean up nice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can. I mean, he does.
Michael Marone,
For who?
Enzo.
Oh, people are losing their mind about him.
Who's Michael Marone?
I don't know what he's from, but I do think he is a good choice.
He looks like he could be Enzo.
Who did you guys cast as
Oh,
Enzo?
yeah.
Because I didn't cast an Enzo, so I stopped. Sorry. go ahead.
Fabian Frankel from the House of Dragons.
Nope, don't know that.
He looks very similar to the fellow they cast.
I said Pedro Pascal
Mm.
because he just.
But
could-
Enzo's supposed to be like buff. He's supposed to be like.
Have you not seen Pedro
I know,
Pascal?
like, Pedro Pascal is definitely buff.
He is.
No, he is not.
He's a luscious man.
Oh, I don't know if I think he's super attractive, but I don't think he's scrawny by any means.
Yeah, I don't think
I
he's
don't think
scrawny.
he's scrawny, but I don't think he is a buff, fit agricultural man. I don't think he's doing topiary anywhere with some biceps.
I think that he
All
can
right. Yeah, he
definitely
doesn't have-
fill the role of the local gardener.
He's not.
He can be.
He is not.
Leave him
of
alone.
The ripped persuasion.
I do think that they casted really well for Enzo in the.
Yeah.
I just was thinking about it earlier this morning. But when I was reading it and they were talking about the daughter, Cecilia, I pictured, I think it's Dakota Fanning, as a
But
child.
when she was young.
In that movie with Brittany Murphy, Uptown Girls, that's who I thought of.
Yeah.
So if we could just go back in time, we could get Dermot and Dakota Fanning and make the movie.
Then we'd
Thank
have
you.
some really good picks.
And I thought the mom, Andrew's mom, could be Helen Mirren. I feel like she would be a real vicious bitch.
Gotta look this up.
I know. I don't know who that is either.
Lady Helen Mirren. Or Meryl Streep.
I was thinking Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep could do it,
Helen
but I-
Mirren is a. What's she from? She's a.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What is she from?
all the things.
All of 1923. She's in The Queen. She's in. I'm trying to look up
She's
something
in
that.
that movie.
Yeah, that I
Red.
might have seen.
Yeah.
Is there a Disney movie
National
in here that she's been
Treasure.
in? Oh, okay. Yeah, I know National Treasure.
Yes.
She's the mom. Okay.
Yeah.
I know you.
She's in Barbie.
Oh, I haven't seen Barbie.
Oh, she's also in
Oh yes,
Winchester.
she is in Barbie. Character analysis. How did you perceive Millie and or Nina as protagonists? Discuss her motivations, strengths, and vulnerabilities throughout the book. How did your view of her change from the beginning to the end? For me, I I think my view of them being protagonists, it fluctuated throughout the book. I think in the beginning, Millie was. I think at some points in the middle and the end, Nina was. I think both of them had very unique stories, and because they both narrated within the book, their stories intertwined, and they both became protagonists at certain points in the book.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion of Millie went from empathy to irritation and disgust in the middle of the book, and then to awe and a little bit of pride when she whooped that ass.
Yeah.
I think Nina kind of did a very similar arc. It was super irritation and a little bit of empathy for her and her psychosis. But then it just went to being very surprised in her ability to have strength and endure all of those years.
I have a similar. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's kind of going to be the unanimous discussion. But all of their character analysis, I feel, just were very flip floppy. I don't know,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term, right? You start off feeling about them one way, and then as the story progresses, you gradually shift to a different perspective just based on the way the story is evolving. I think that just Freida, she did it, man. That's what she wanted us to do. That's what she wanted. That's all I got for that one. I don't have a whole lot on this one. I think
I have like a whole
spoken that one
paragraph,
to
but
death.
it's pretty similar, and I'm mostly talking about Millie because I feel like Nina was expected to flip flop, right? She was written one way, and then obviously there was her circumstances led to be another. So having mixed feelings about her, I had mixed feelings about her all the way through the book. That she had the mental disorder, she had postpartum depression, she was being ridiculed for being overweight and her roots showing. But then she was doing shitty things. So I felt very torn about Nina the whole way, even when it went into her part and it was like, okay, I understand why she's doing it. Now I still feel like mixed feelings. I think that Nina was basically written in the way that even when we went into her side of the story, I still felt, okay, I understand you, but also what you're doing to this other person is kind of crappy, which kind of is going into the moral ambiguities. That's a word. Even going into that, it's I don't know. I didn't know how I felt about her. A lot of times it was all over the place. Millie, though, I didn't like her a lot.
No, I don't have a favorite character
No,
here.
for sure not. Here's my struggle with her character. As soon as she gets into this place, she's very much so worried about, I don't want to go back to prison, right? I've got to keep this job, so I'm just going to suck it up. But in the end, that didn't stop her from cheating. That didn't stop her from killing someone. There are things, and yes, maybe she wasn't very self-aware. Obviously, in the end, she wasn't worried about going to jail if she was willing to. And she did. She made the conscious decision of, he's going to die, right? In the end. Why not get out sooner? Why not, when all these things started happening that were bad, get out sooner? Nina's treating me horribly. She's mentally screwing with me. This isn't a place I want to be, and it's going to make me stumble, or it's going to make me do something I don't like about myself. So again, maybe she just wasn't self-aware, but I felt like there was, I don't know.
I have some, okay, so can I go?
Yeah.
I have some thoughts on this whole thing, and I have a sort of a sidebar that's going to tie into this that doesn't have anything to do with these other these other questions, but it does sort of go with the story. So I felt like there's the idea that survival sometimes requires like this moral compromise.
Right.
And so, for example, like Millie, she has to make these crazy choices by the end, but unwillingly we sort of still root for her because there's this situation that she's in. And with Nina, she's a victim, but she also crosses some ethical lines. So it's this thought of this like survival that I think about. If I was in a survival mode, what lines would I be willing to cross to ensure my own safety, or maybe the safety of my family, or whatever? I don't know that any moral compass is gonna direct my behavior as long as me and my family are safe, unless in this situation, if I'm thinking about it in this context, right? If I'm not just out in the street, I'm not gonna go, I'm not safe, murder.
Yeah, right.
But in the context of this story, I think that, yes, there was other ways around it. She didn't have to kill him, but did she think she had an option? I don't know if she thought she had any other option. There was no way for her to get out. Morally,
for Millie has him locked into a closet.
Now,
leave.
Then you have revenge.
But then he has revenge. If he's alive and he gets out of there, he is a wealthy man who made the world think his wife was crazy.
Yes. Okay, so this goes into my next sidebar, is that this whole book, I don't know if anybody else is going to agree with me, but I felt like this whole book had this theme about wealth disparity, right? So you have this one lady who comes in, she has no money, she has a criminal background, she's really struggling to just get back on her feet. And then you have this wealthy family that has all of this terrible things that can just cover it up or do whatever.
Right.
They can do it because they have the means to do it. She's stuck in this situation and has no way to get out because she's poor.
But that's Nina's story too.
Yes, and then she became the bad person because now she has money. She had the ability to do it. So this whole wealth disparity, I think, plays a huge factor in how these characters actually handled their scenarios.
I do agree with that. Like, if I thought I wasn't going to be able to have a home over my head, I would probably just suck it up and bear with it until I could figure it out. But I don't think that I would suck it up and bear with it forever. It would be like, I need to suck it up and find something else. I need to go out and look for something else because this is not where I want to be. And with Millie, she's just looking out for herself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if I've got to live in a car for a little bit again, that sucks. But it's potentially better than this. And if it's not, then I suck it up, but I'm continuing to look for something else to get out of this situation.
Yeah, I think she gets into it where she is so battered that she sees red. And there's no real, I guess, moral compass. It's not what I was looking for. But her direction is just totally thrown off now because she's in survival mode and now she's just pissed.
Well, it goes back into her being a vigilante. Technically, she's saving the life of the next woman.
Yeah.
Right?
Does she think that there's another woman?
I mean, no, I just mean if she escapes, like you said, okay, there's revenge. But I think it would be more so like I could hide from him. I can go anywhere. Maybe he has means to look for, but I think he's more likely to just find the next woman. And potentially that would be me becoming, okay, well, now I'm a hero and I'm killing him because this can't happen to another person. Yeah.
And again, going back to whether he had gone to jail or not, his wealth would have probably kept him out.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's a Caucasian man.
That too.
All of those things would have kept him out of jail.
And he would have probably found another victim.
Well, yeah, because he had victims before Nina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I think this goes into our next question of moral ambiguities.
Lead me to it.
For sure. We're like in the midst of it all. because I think I pretty much said it.
So moral ambiguities. Many characters in the book display morally ambiguous behavior. So does this affect your perception of right and wrong within the story? Are there any characters you found particularly difficult to categorize as purely good or bad? Yeah. Didn't we just talk about this?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's kind of blended into this. So yeah.
I basically said all of my piece already on this.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I think it's not one of them were right and wrong. I mean, except Andrew was probably the only wrong.
The only one that for me flipped from good to bad, but I think Nina and Millie lived in the gray area.
Yeah.
Yeah, to go back to your point, I think if we lived in a utopian society and everything was equal, there is a good and a bad. But because we don't, and there's all these different hierarchies in our society, there are things that, yes, we need to have rules as a society, but that are bad, but you're kind of just picking between the lesser of two evils at some point.
Yeah, the lines are always blurred.
Yeah, and there's people that live in that all day. There's a woman who doesn't have money, who has a starving child, and they need to steal to feed them.
Yeah, it's a gray line.
Yes.
Constantly.
Yes.
And I agree with you. I think even Andrew is not the best person in the whole book, right? We know his whole thing is bad. He has a backstory that's also driving his decision making.
Right. At one point, he was a victim.
Right.
So he essentially is doing exactly what Nina and Millie did, right? They became victims and then became the bad person. He was a victim and also became a bad person.
But I don't agree that they're the same.
How?
I think we're generalizing those two together. I think Nina was doing it out of necessity, very similar to a starving mom, to save herself and her child. Andrew doesn't have to do these things to appease his mom anymore. He doesn't have to lock up women and berate them and make them hurt themselves like his mom did to him. He's doing that as a reaction.
You could say the same thing about Millie.
Right, but I don't think
she
Nina
had the means to escape, and she chose not to. She didn't have to kill Andrew. She did it for...
But I'm saying I don't think they're I don't think all three of them are on the same... I think they cross the line, yes, but I don't think they're the same.
I would agree. Their storylines are not the same, but I think they all have a similar sense of we have this victim situation and now we're all moving forward into this not good situation. We're behaving in a way that's not the best based on our situation in the past. Whether it's the same or not, like the exact story, it's not the same. I get it. You're right. It's not. But they all have a kind of a driving force that's kind of similar.
I think the driving force is different.
Yes.
Like I hear what you're saying. Yes, and I agree that all of them, generally speaking, were a victim and then became the villain.
Aggressive.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah. But I do think that the reason why they are choosing to become the aggressor.
But even when Nina was the aggressor, she was still in like the victim status.
Yeah, but when she left, she was still technically a villain. If I set you up to be abused by a man knowingly and then left you alone to deal with it, I'm not a good person.
But I did.
She was
what
also
I had to do.
She was also just worried about herself in that moment. Like, okay, I'm free.
And her child.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good luck.
Yeah. Which is, again, morally gray, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not, while I can understand why you're doing it, it also doesn't make you a good person for doing it.
Right.
Okay, so the next one is plot twists and pacing. What did you think about the pacing of the story and the various plot twists? Were there any moments that you found particularly gripping or unexpected? I mean, the obvious plot twist was Andrew being the true villain and Nina just trying to get out and
she's not the villain.
And not being the true villain, right? So, but I do have a response from a listener. This one came from Jess185, answering the plot twists and pacing. Very ending with his mom made everything make sense to me on a psychological level. He was taught and trained as a child to act as he did with Nina and Millie. I think it was the bow that tied everything together for me. As a therapist, I love understanding motive and behaviors, so getting a small snippet of what helped make him was helpful. Thanks, Jess185. That's actually, we all agree. And from getting a therapist point of view, I feel like maybe that's what book 2 is. We're just going to therapize.
I think it is
We're
therapize.
going to be a therapist and review Andrew's past.
Yes.
That was number 1 on my list. Oh no, that was number 2. I have 2 twists that I enjoyed other than Andrew being the psycho. One was when Millie was able to maneuver herself out of the room And then the light just turned on and she turned into the unhinged psycho that she was.
Okay, yes.
That was the first one. And then the second one was Andrew's mom's admission at the funeral. Like, oh.
That was wild to me.
Yes,
for sure.
that was
was a
crazy.
good plot twist.
That was a good one.
Just 185 said, like it did put a bow on the whole
It did.
thing, right?
Yeah.
And then our last question is impact and takeaways. How did The Housemaid affect you as a reader? Were there any particular scenes or ideas that stayed with you after finishing the book?
I mean, yes, you go.
Yeah.
girl.
Lots of things.
I have lots of things. I think all of the smaller twists in the book, they kind of invigorated my reading as I was going. Like, oh, I can't put this down now because this just happened.
Yes.
Like it really,
yeah,
it
for
hooked
sure.
me in.
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
buckled up and ready for the ride.
Not like the Fourth Wing.
Get out.
I just
You leave that shit at home.
I did leave the book at home because it sucks.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the whole world is going to eat me alive, but go ahead.
So Rosilio wrote in about impacts and takeaways and said that all the teeth pulling stays with me. Loose teeth coming out is so disgusting to me.
I agree.
Yeah, as someone who had several teeth pulled out over the last few years, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's not the business.
I'm sure it wasn't in the same fashion. However,
No, I didn't do it myself.
I have a similar thing to that. Just what the police officers walked in on and what they found. I can only imagine, right? I wrote a man with no teeth and a flat dick. Like I can only imagine what the body looked like when they found him.
yes.
That sticks with me.
That always, actually, I think about if just being a police officer in general and having to walk into stuff like that on a regular basis. Imagine.
Yeah. Watched this reel on Instagram. Look it. TikTok's dead. Okay, you guys. I watched a reel on Instagram and it was the police officer. He was like, we're doing a check, like a safety check.
Oh, like a well check?
A wellness check. Thank you. A wellness check on this older lady. And the guy's like, oh no, she left to go be with her brother somewhere. And they're like, she didn't go anywhere without her dogs. Like her dogs are in there. He's like, yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm watching the dogs. And they're like, no. So then they get approval to like go in and the guy's freaking out and they open up an ice chest and her body is in an ice chest.
He killed her?
Yeah.
Oh.
I could not imagine. And then the officer, because it's like a body cam, the officer's like, this is the second one this week.
Oh, yeah, I'm telling you.
That's wild.
Yes, the amount of things that they have to see is just insane. Like, we don't give them enough credit for the things that
Yeah.
they see because we think of
We also didn't give them enough therapy.
they definitely need well,
that is
especially for
dark.
being
That
like
is-
well, they have to compartmentalize, of
Yeah.
course, right? Where we this is the
is
second
unhealthy.
dead body this week,
Yeah.
and then you just shut it off and go home. And then how do you do that? Because I'm gonna go home
No.
and think about all of that, and now my child is never gonna leave the front door because of all the shit I just saw.
Neither am I.
I'm not going back out again.
I'm not going
We're
anywhere.
staying inside. This is our life now.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about.
Yes, there were things in the book that I thought it was more like ideals that stayed with me afterwards. Some of the
Undertones.
undertones.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. I think two of them are intertwined. It's basically how easy it was as a society for us to write off a woman as having just any kind of mental health issue and being unstable. It was way too easy for Andrew to have the whole community think that Nina was just batshit crazy. And how easy it was for, I guess, as it was written, to try and diminish the value of Nina because she was not thin.
Yeah.
It was already crazy that he loved her because she was overweight and let herself go.
And what a great guy he was for it.
Right. And the last thing I had is that this is not uncommon. Women are in domestic violence situations, well, men too. People are in domestic violence situations all the time, and they suffer in silence. Part of that is to keep themselves alive, to keep their children alive. And a lot of the MO of people who are doing the domestic violence is to isolate their victims so that they don't have another outlet. And so I just wanted to take a second to say, if you are suffering from domestic violence or you know someone who is, there are a lot of different programs out there that can help. There's the hotline.org, and it has a special exit feature in the right corner. There's an X, so if you feel like, oh shit, someone's coming and they're gonna look at my phone or they're gonna look at my computer, you can double click that and it changes the website. So you're not on a domestic violence website anymore. You can text 88788. You can call 800-799-SAFE, 7233. there's organizations, there's nonprofits out there. There's the Seroptimus group you get out and they will help fund you an apartment for you and your family. There's scholarships to help you get back into school and make a life for yourself. Like, make a friend. People will help you.
Yes.
There is a
Yeah.
way
You're
out.
not alone.
Yeah.
And that is, while comforting, also part of it that's really sad is you are not alone. There's a lot of this happening, and
No, your aggressor might make you feel like you're alone, but you're not.
yeah.
I had one little last thought.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
To end this last prompt. So for me, this book made me question how often people can hide their true natures, especially those in positions of power.
Yes.
So it was more of the thought that most, if not everybody, is really hiding something.
Yeah.
And we don't know it. We're only seeing what people show us.
Yeah.
We would like to think that us as friends, right, we're showing our true selves because we've been friends forever. But in the real world, there's so many things that are being hidden on a daily basis. And that, I think, is what stuck with me. That concept was just everything is a secret all the time. And what can you really believe?
Yeah.
But I think we do that. I agree with you. But I think we do that on micro levels all the time.
Yes.
Like, I'm not my 100% true self at work
Of course.
because as much as they like to think I'm 100% professional, I sure the fuck am not.
What?
Surprise!
You're not.
Weird.
Yeah, of course. You have to put on a facade, right?
Yeah.
At work, at the grocery store,
Right.
it just in your daily life. But this, I think, just put a highlight
Yes.
on
agreed.
it for me, and
sure.
it was more of just something that resonated the entire. Like, now going back reviewing, it just has resonated with me that as someone who is a naive person and wants to think there's good in everybody, I know that there's not, and that sucks.
There are people that don't have good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think most people do have
At least some sort of
a
good.
little bit, a
Sure.
sprinkling of good, but
Not everybody
Goes back to the top of this episode too, where we kind of talked about there's more than one side to everyone's story.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Look at us
love it.
full circle.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That was great.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that's
I
our
liked
book
it.
club episode. First book club episode ever.
Woohoo!
Killed it. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Oh, thanks. Please hold your applause.
Do we want to talk about the next book that we're doing?
Sure. Our next book, brought to you by Literature on the Rocks, will be
Little Secrets by Jennifer Hillier.
Yeah, which is another kind of
Thriller-ish.
yeah,
Thrilling.
thrillerish, thrilling. Both good words.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're gonna post prompts for it the day before it goes live.
Yeah.
So that way, if you haven't read the book, you don't have to. You can listen to the summary, just like one of our followers did. You can listen to the summary and answer the prompts.
Send them on in.
Yeah, there's multiple ways to answer prompts too. You can respond on our social media pages. We have a Facebook group and a Facebook page. We also have an Instagram and we have a TikTok, but who knows what's happening with TikTok these days. But you're welcome to follow us there and respond. We also post all of the prompts on our website. There's a button at the bottom that you can click on to email your prompts or post a comment it's like a blog style kind of post. So you can also comment on it there. Anywhere that works for you, I'm sure we're there. You can find us and we monitor them all. We monitor all of the avenues you could potentially get to us. So however you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll see you every Wednesday on all the places that you listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Follow, subscribe.
Like, subscribe, and
We'll see you next week.
participate.
Oh, yeah.
See you next
Yes.
week.
See you next
See you
week,
next
guys.
week.
Bye.
Bye.